Obesity is currently the largest preventable illness that's causing the highest mortality worldwide.
It can kill you. Obesity kills.
When these kids get to be my age, how much is healthcare going to cost? They have to stay healthy. You can't afford to be sick anymore.
This generation is going to die at an earlier age than their parents did because of obesity.
Overweight and obesity are defined as abnormal or excessive fat accumulation that may impair health. Overall, 1.5 billion adults worldwide were overweight in 2008. Of that population, 200 million men and 300 million women were categorized as being obese. These determinations are based on a height-weight formula known as body mass index, or BMI. The fundamental cause of obesity and overweight is simply an energy imbalance between calories consumed and calories expended.
The average calorie intake in the United States is 2,800 to 3,000 calories a day. The average need of an adult is 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. And so we're eating 1,000 calories a day more than we should, and that adds up to being overweight.
According to the World Health Organization, in 2010, nearly 43 million children under the age of 5 were overweight.
We're seeing toddlers, 5-year-olds that weigh 100 pounds. As I mentioned earlier, I've seen a young lady, 13, 14 years old, 275 pounds. We're seeing just an explosion of insulin resistance, diabetes, high blood pressure in teenagers, and it's all preventable.
The physical and mental disorders associated with being overweight or obese are many.
For every pound that you're overweight, put 7 pounds of pressure on your back. You can get internal adipose or fat tissue on your internal organs, which surrounds your heart, your liver, and that increases your risk of mortality and morbidity.
So how did we get this way?
If you kind of step back and look at our culture, all the food is so readily available, and it can be very inexpensive to just go through the drive-thru and get a very high-calorie meal. Whereas a lot of people don't have the skills or knowledge to cook healthier foods at home, and it can be just as easy as going through the drive-thru.
Some counties in our region have greater access to healthier options than others. Both Hocking and Perry are designated Appalachian counties.
Studies have shown that across Appalachia, overweight and obesity are a much bigger problem than in other parts of the country. And Perry County is an Appalachian county, and we definitely do see that in our county. In some of our outlying communities, a person may have to travel 10 to 12 miles to the nearest actual grocery store. What they're faced with is the only option is the local corner convenience store to purchase food if you're hungry. And that's packed full of highly processed, high-fat content, low-nutrition foods.
The alarming rise in the rate of obesity began being felt by the Mid-Ohio Ambulance Service nearly 20 years ago.
It became obvious, too, that the median weight of all of our patients appear to be rising. One of my employees told me this morning that he figured that our patients are 50 pounds heavier on average than they used to be.
On one run, EMTs were dispatched to transport a woman who weighed nearly 1,000 pounds.
She got so heavy she was unable to get out of her bedroom door, and they actually had to remove the back wall of her apartment.
In 2004, Mid-Ohio Ambulance Service, which serves Fairfield, Pickaway, Hocking, and Perry counties, spent nearly $12,000 to retrofit a vehicle to accommodate the transport of heavier patients.
We also have a ramp and hydraulic system that we have one of our trucks retrofitted for. This truck right here is retrofitted with that system so that we can safely load a patient into the back of the truck. And really, it's not just about the patient's safety, it's about the safety of our people, because there are a lot of injuries that are incurred by EMTs while they're trying to handle patients that are extremely heavy.
Brian McLane was 7'2" and at one point weighed nearly 460 pounds. His sister Becky said her younger brother never took his weight and associated health issues seriously.
I think that's a lot of problem that a lot of people do. They're like, oh, it's diabetes, nobody cares, it's not a big deal. And so he was told to change his eating habits, get out and exercise, and try to do the right thing for himself, and he didn't.
At 31, Brian was diagnosed with diabetes, which later led to a partial foot amputation. A few years later, he was rushed to the hospital suffering from complications related to his obesity. Becky was met by the hospital chaplain when she arrived to see her brother.
She took me in a room, and I was trying to tell her that these are the procedures that he's had and this is what he's been through, and finally I'm like, well, you can tell me how bad is it? And I think she just stammered for a little bit, and she finally said that he had passed away en route to the hospital. And I felt like somebody had just kicked me. He's my little brother. We're 18 months apart. He's 36 years old. He's not supposed to die. And when I had to call my parents and tell them on the phone, it was awful. And my mother just screamed and cried. And she just said, no, not my baby, My children aren't supposed to die before I do.
Recognizing negative lifestyles and making personal decisions to change is key to a healthy quality of life.
This is an issue I've been struggling with my entire life.
John lost 60 pounds after a 12-month personal exercise program.
I have early childhood memories of feeling, almost inferior to a certain extent because I was heavier than most of the people that were my age. It took me a long time really to really accept myself for who I am, and that being a person that is obese. Now that I'm older, it's more than just accepting myself for who I am. It becomes a question of all the health risks that are associated with it.
It's those health risks and the birth of his first grandson that have motivated John to lose weight.
He became my motivation. He really did. To be honest with you, I have a picture of him taped on the dashboard of my car, so that if I ever start thinking about stopping at the convenience store to get an unhealthy snack, I have his picture right there, and that's the inspiration I need to say, no, I'm not going to do this.
As a registered nurse in the maternity department of Fairfield Medical Center, Eva considered switching from a job she loved for more sedentary work because her weight was becoming a problem for her. Then she realized it was affecting her family as well.
I did not realize the way that my weight had affected my family. I had 2 girls that I love dearly, and not to be able to do for them, that hurt. So now we can do anything.
Eva has lost 154 pounds and credits her support system at home.
I always thought it was like selfish, but it's not selfish, because as one of my friends, and actually it is my trainer, it's Jill, she told me, she's like, you're the heartbeat of your family, and that you want to take care of your family, you have to take care of yourself. And that's probably, the best thing anyone could have said to me, because that's true.
Edith is a school teacher who shed 40 pounds after learning she had diabetes and blood clots. She says she's ready for a healthier lifestyle.
I'm excited for the journey. For once I see that I can do this, I can lose weight, I can make a change in my life. And I'm hoping other people will see that, and that's why I chose to do this.
15-year-old Lauren realized she began gaining weight in the 2nd grade. At age 13, she began making changes on her own.
I stopped drinking pop. I haven't drank pop in over a year. I limit my chocolate and sweets, but other than that, you can eat whatever you want. It's just you have to make sure you're not eating to a large amount.
During her 40-year career in the classroom, Crooksville high school teacher Sara has observed firsthand the results of inactivity and poor eating habits.
We need to put that word out. We need to start being a healthier nation. We can't afford to be sick anymore. We just can't afford it. And these kids' lives become shortened because of that, and I don't want to see that.
When she was 13, Stella weighed 205 pounds. Her doctor told her she was risking death at that size.
He told me that I was at risk for obesity and I needed to start watching what I eat and how much I exercise, and that it's possible that I could get diabetes, and with the history of heart problems in my family, I could possibly get that later on. It was a threat to my life.
Although a combination of diet and exercise tends to be the answer to better overall health, it's not always possible for some of us.
Lived on a farm, cut my own firewood, built my own house, you name it, I've probably done it. Very self-sufficient person. In a matter of a minute, on October the 18th of '86, my life changed completely. For the first 4 weeks, I couldn't even feed myself.
Mike is an incomplete quadriplegic with no diabetic family history. Not long ago, he was told by his doctor that he was pre-diabetic and must lose weight.
But if there's a will, there's a way. And I think if you've got the mindset to do the right things, it's going to work for you.
Mike lost 75 pounds in 1 year, mostly by changing his diet. His physician has taken him completely off one medication, and his health has improved. Gary's unsuccessful struggle with his weight had him taking a number of medications before he became a candidate for bariatric surgery.
Was on oral medication for the diabetes. I've had high blood pressure for a number of years and was now on 2 blood pressure medicines, both. I had sleep apnea, had a sleep apnea study at Berger Hospital that confirmed that I needed a CPAP machine.
Gary is no longer required to take those medications, and he is diabetes-free. Although he says the surgery triggered a 70-pound weight loss in 5 months, it's not the answer, just the beginning for him. Owning and operating a fine dining establishment would be a challenge for anyone trying to lose weight. But after learning she was pre-diabetic, Ellen lost 45 pounds through a program at Hocking Valley Community Hospital.
I don't necessarily eat everything that we're serving. You know, those guests are there like I am when you're on vacation or holiday, and you splurge during those times. But I'm there in a work environment, and I don't eat that. I know what I can eat at lunch, and you know, it's a salad or tuna fish or something along that line.
Sara enrolled in that same program and lost 100 pounds after her doctor said she had to do something.
The big thing with diabetics was say, oh, they can't have that, or I can't have that. And I always remind them, they'll say, well, Sara can't have that. I'll say, no, I choose not to have that. And so everything has been a choice.
For Sara and others, doing something about their relationship with food is a choice. But for some, it's not.
Yes, and we're trying to figure that out. There are neurotransmitters in the brain. There are hormones that we really don't know how they're processed yet that can increase a person's risk of obesity.